lift people out of poverty. You know, a lot of people may think that the 5,000 they were paying meant nothing. If it was not interrupted, for those it was meant to lift, it meant a lot of things in the local environment. And so, but certain things happened in that transformation of trying to lift people out of poverty. We had COVID. COVID came on board. They acknowledged, they had a technical team under the vice president, you know, Shibajo then. You know, they had a technical team, and whatever they did at the time, it was technology-driven. Feedback was coming from all over the country, and there was a lot of progress that was being made. And then they created a monster kind of a ministry, which is Federal Ministry for the Humanitarian and Disaster Management and Social Development, which was a cluster. And that swallowed the social protection, the national social protection, you know, intervention that was being done. They pushed it to the ministry. I was the head of ActionAid, that the country director of ActionAid then. And I said, who was I supposed to talk to? Because an intervention is a quick fix. It's not a permanent issue. And then you just throw it to the ministry. And I said, ActionAid at that point could not guarantee the transparency and accountability. When you now want to go and give money to children that are not in school, that we're not going to, because we have to protect our own, you know, transparency and accountability issue. So when you are talking of the progress that is being made, you know, we need to look at democracy from different perspectives. The ballot papers do not have names of people. It has names of political parties. What that means is that you take the responsibility of the political party with you when you are voted. And when you want to step aside from that political party, you step aside from the seat and allow the political party to occupy. Majority of those we have at the National Assembly today have moved from one party to the other, and they are still sitting on their seat. And Nigerians are looking at it as if it's okay. It's not okay. The Supreme Court gave there was an interpretation when somebody tried to maneuver, and the Supreme Court, you know, the judiciary, we have a lot of problems in the judiciary, in ourselves here. The quality of citizenship has depreciated so rapidly. That is what is happening. It's not about the parties, but the people who are occupying the seats. What is your responsibility? Our guest speaker pointed out, he said our children, and I tell them, I was on the set with I think a senator, and I said, as long as other people's children are not free, your children are not free. You know, because at that time, he also defended and said, the kind of system that we have now, we are, you know, I'm sure you went to school when the Nigerian government gave you accommodation, gave you scholarship, gave you free meals, gave you half chicken on Sundays, and all of that. That was an attempt of investment in the human capital. If you are investing in the human capital, you are not doing the children any favor. You are qualifying the human resources for your economy. And so you are not doing them any favor. And so, but now, those who are in government today, majority of them got scholarships from Nigeria. That is the government planning for its people. What are you giving the people now? You have children of the poor are no longer going to school because when you say over 100 million people are below the poverty line, whose children is in school? We have more public institutions now than we had before. I want to tell you about the school, you know, in terms of public institutions. From secondary school, JS3, many people do not have money to pay for their children. So many cannot move to senior secondary school. There are many people who are in senior secondary school who cannot move out of there because their parents do not have money for WAEC fees or NECO fees. So you leave a cluster of Nigerians below that line. And then you have those who have managed to gain admission through JAMB. Many of them I can tell you, are not able to even collect the acceptance fees. Many acceptance fees are now 30,000. How many children of the poor can collect it? And then you have a lot of them that are truncated. We have so many individuals that cannot move from 200 level to 300 level. And then from 300 level to 400 level, not to talk of those who are studying medicine. I just want to bring it to us that the responsibility of leadership is in all of us. The responsibility of leadership is how we qualify our citizens. The current leadership is not taking any responsibility for the younger people. And so Dr. Lukman was my president. I was a Nance senator at the time. I was leading the University of Jos, and he was in BUK. And we're all together struggling for Nigeria. At that time, we look at patriotism is a core issue. When you are a thief, you are a thief. You now have thieves that are living in bungalows, and then you have people who steal, just like somebody snatched 1,000 from, our guest speaker. In other places, they will be burnt. But you have thieves, those who are looting mercilessly, primitive accumulation of wealth. And they are leaving the governance of the people seriously. As long as you take your children to go and study abroad. And then many of them bring them back. They are still competing with our children who have no spaces. But it is important to look at yourselves. I know that some people have set examples. We had, and I want to say also that issues of inclusivity, because being the only female in this environment, I want to say that the issue of women representation, women qualifying, inclusivity is very, very key to national development. Though we are in the civil society, we did a lot in terms of supporting the media and capacity building, and also when they are in trouble, that we're out there. Just like when we are in trouble, they are also out there. The TINUBU administration, I remember the last one was the End Bad Governance protest, and a number of young people, more than 20 of them, are being charged for treason. And that is that some of them were saying, okay, to those who were flying, is it another flag? Another flag. Many of them were arrested. Some of them are still in jail, or some of them are still finding their ways. I know that some of our people were in jail for about 59 days. And so you are talking about, okay, those who are inviting other people or talking about the military to take over, you will charge them for treason. But we have the president of Nigeria who introduced military to Rivers State. Will you charge him for treason, or is he taking us backwards? For many of us who struggle for democracy, and you bring in, the military from the backside, because a general is a general. That's according to the Nigerian law. If you're a general, you continue to be a general. So we have military rule, and we have a Nigerian president, proposing that. When you have the electoral system, I want to delve with that to say the electoral system, if it were transparent, I think it will encourage a lot of people, like the women, for example. In a system that is draconic, in a system that is so filthy, you will hardly find women there. And that's why we have a decline. Now we have about 4.7% in terms of representation of women in the National Assembly. And the government itself is not even serious when it comes to appointing positions, as if they can't find their daughters. There are some bold ones, some bold states that are making a difference. Because when you have 14 states in Nigeria not having a single woman as a member of the House of Assembly, and they are organizing, they have women committees, committee of women, and it's chaired by men. And we have, and so you're having also when you have maternal issues. This is a very serious one on how democracy has failed the Nigerian woman. We still have some Chibok girls, after 10 years, they're still in captivity. We have Leah Shuaibu, who is still there. I got to a meeting in Niger, where they were discussing, the crisis. And we found out that there are more women, more girls than what we talk about, Chibok girls, that are in captivity in northern Nigeria. How has it failed? I want to bring us down again to how democracy has failed the Nigerian woman. Because when we worry about our children. When a woman can't have food to feed the children, that's when the crisis comes. During Buhari's administration, before Buhari came, a bag of rice was 8,000. When he was leaving, it was about 30,000. And then the current administration, TINUBU administration, TINUBU came and said, what do you call it? Subsidy is gone over the bar, without any planning, without any laid down anything. You say it is gone. It really was a shock, because policy does not start from the pages of a newspaper. You have to do your planning. What have you planned? And for someone who used to work with the Nigerian Labour Congress, that was my first job. I know that subsidy issue is a fallacy. You can say that, and I think a lot of investment has been done in terms of investigating what happened. And so I see all of it. And when you have, our young people do not have a place to go and work. You know, there's another dimension on how democracy has failed. There are so many young men that are ready to get married, but they can't get married because they have no jobs. Will you give your daughter to somebody who doesn't have a job? Unless you are going to fund them. So I want to come down to say democracy is failing, and that means there are so many young women who are almost at the age of 30. Nobody has asked them to marry them, because their classmates who ought to marry them have no jobs. We have 4 refineries that were working. Nigerians shut down the refineries and they started exporting crude, and then bringing back the refined products. And nothing is being said. Since the issue of refineries, look at how governance has failed. When they now said, okay, you were exporting, so they removed the subsidy, and we started buying fuel for how much now? For 1,000, just take it like it's 1,000. And then there are Nigerian refineries. Dangote refinery is producing, and we are still being charged the same amount of money. Are we crazy or what? Is it okay? It is not okay, and nobody is talking about it. When we start giving Dangote crude, the prices will come down. Nothing has come down. The quality of citizenship, wherever you are, because we are all on a death roll. Every one of us were on a death roll. It depends on when you will go. What you are doing in the world, you need to think about it and redress it. When you think of the media, I remember one of the media, a journalist, that at one point we had to rush out of the country because of the threat to life. It is real. Our leaders, whoever speaks, the DSS is everywhere. For me, when I see DSS, when you are holding any meeting, even when we were students, they were all over the place. But my own is that we are Nigerian too. You don't go to a different market. You don't go to a different, we shop together at the main market. You need food. Everybody needs food. And if we don't care for the poor, at the end of the day, we'll also be trapped in the same circle. But inclusivity is quite major, whether it is the media or wherever we are coming from, and a huge contribution to the Nigerian media is that communication by the man that we're celebrating today. Thank you.